If you are a trader who likes to trade on very short time frames or slightly unusual time frames, then you can apply your sentient FLD indicator to those time frames. Here is a 5-second chart, so each one of these bars represents 5 seconds worth of price action. You can see that the signal cycle on the 5-second chart is a 3-minute cycle, and the sequence cycle is a 12-minute cycle. So if you are interested in high-speed trading, then you can get involved with your second duration charts. Notice as a matter of interest how even on a 5-second chart, these targets for these very short cycles prove remarkably accurate, and you will find even the very short cycle targets are often reached. Can you go shorter than 5 seconds? Yes, you can. You could apply the FLD indicator to a 1-second chart, but you will not then be trading shorter cycles. The shortest cycle that the indicator will work with is the 3-minute cycle that we see here on this chart. But now a 5-second chart is also, of course, a time-based chart. In other words, each bar represents a certain amount of time. Of course, Hurst Cycles as an approach is based on the idea of analyzing how the cycles influence price over time. And all the charts that we've looked at so far are time-based charts. You can use slightly unusual times. You could, for instance, apply the indicator to a 2-hour chart, if you like, or a 3-minute chart, which is a very interesting chart and not one that you find on all trading platforms. But those are all time-based charts. There is also an experimental aspect of the sentient FLD indicator, which is that you can apply the indicator to a non-time-based chart. Let me demonstrate. We are going to create a new chart, and of course the second, minute, day, week, month, year are all charts that are time-based. But we also have here a tick chart and a range chart, and further down we have other examples of non-time-based charts, a Renko chart, a point and figure chart. If you're not familiar with these chart styles, I would encourage you to investigate them. A tick-based chart, for instance, is not plotting bars on the basis of time elapsed, but the number of ticks that have occurred. And so once a particular number of ticks have elapsed, you will have a completed bar. Let's quickly create a tick chart. By default, NinjaTrader has selected a value of 150 ticks. We will leave that as the default value. It is going to load 3 days worth of data. You could leave that. I'm actually only going to load 1 day's worth of data. Let's click on OK. And here is our 150 tick chart. So it looks very much like a time-based chart, and of course it still has the time scale at the foot of the chart. But if you take a look at the time scale, you will notice that the time intervals are not exactly the same. So for instance, here between 10:08 and 10:11, we had 6 bars that played out over 3 minutes. Whereas if we go back to this period of time here, between 8:44 and 8:59, the same number of bars played out over 15 minutes. And so you can see the concept of time is flexible. It's very different on this chart. Nevertheless, we can apply the sentient FLD indicator to it. I should point out that this is an experimental application of the FLD indicator, which is firmly based in the idea that cycles influence markets over time. And now we have applied the FLD indicator. You can see that it is working with cycles from 50 minutes up to 12 hours long on this chart. Because the FLD indicator obviously is based in time calculations, it is still going to work with time-based cycles. And so we have a time-based analysis applied to a non-time-based chart. It is, of course, experimental. But I should point out that we have still some interesting targets. You will see examples of FLDs providing support, such as this FLD did over here. And we are able to anticipate support, resistance, and acceleration points on our FLDs. The one thing that you will certainly notice is that the display of the arrows is sometimes stretched and sometimes compressed. That is because the arrows, in the way that they are plotted on the NinjaTrader chart, are plotted plotted on the basis of time. And so when you are working with a non-time based chart, you are going to get some stretched out arrows and some very narrow arrows as well. The same thing applies to the circles and whiskers. Because the analysis is based in time, when plotting the time-based analysis on a non-time-based chart, you will get some distortions. Nevertheless, I would encourage you to explore the possibility of performing a time-based analysis on a non-time-based chart. Another interesting chart that is worth exploring is a point and figure chart. Let's change our box size to 4 and let's create a point and figure chart. Again, the point and figure chart, as you can see, is not time-based. You will notice immediately that the time scale seems a little strange because time occasionally stretches and at other times compresses on that x-axis. Nevertheless, we can apply the sentient FLD indicator to this chart too. And here is our time-based analysis on the point and figure chart. Notice that, of course, the FLD indicator does choose a set of cycles to work with and apply to the analysis, and you will notice some targets being reached very accurately. You will also notice a good clean sequence of interactions developing here. Notice price crossing up above the FLD here, finding approximate support at the FLD over there, and crossing below the FLD here. This cross below that FLD generated this target, which was not reached by this low price at this time over here, providing information about the fact that there is more bullishness in this market than we might expect, which has of course led to this rise in price. Notice that this chart too is plagued by the different length arrows. Here we have a long arrow and here we have a short arrow because of the same problem I mentioned a moment ago, that the arrows are plotted by necessity on the NinjaTrader chart by using time reference, and we have the same situation with our circles and whiskers, which get a little bit distorted on this non-time based chart. Nevertheless, it is very interesting to watch a time-based FLD analysis play out on a non-time based chart. So I would encourage you to explore this idea and discover what edge it might give you in your trading. If you encounter any problems while using the FLD indicator on a non-time-based chart, then please get in touch with support. We would be very happy to help you explore all kinds of different chart possibilities.